These are the top 10 dinosaurs that will make you question what the heck God was doing. Now, I would first like to say that our rendering of these dinosaurs could be completely wrong, since it was only recently in the 1990s that we learned that dinosaurs had feathers, so take these dinosaur designs with a grain of salt. Anyway, number 10, Amargasaurus. Also known as the spiny-necked sauropod, this dinosaur was a medium-sized sauropod that roamed South America during the early Cretaceous period. Measuring at 33 feet in length and weighing around 3 tons, this dinosaur stood about 9 feet at the shoulders, and as you could probably see, the thing that makes this dinosaur so unique is its twin rows of tall spines that lined its neck and back. Now, I have to admit, this dinosaur is probably one of the coolest creatures I have ever seen, but the reason this dinosaur is considered a weird creature is because we do not know what the purpose of those spines were, because what is reaching its neck in the first place? It is this very question that scientists have debated, where some believe they were covered by skin to form a sail for thermoregulation, while others suggest they were used for display or even defense. Whatever the purpose, it is safe to say that I now have a new favorite dinosaur, because just look at it. I love you. Ow! Number 9, Stygimoloch. With possibly one of the coolest nicknames for a dinosaur I have ever seen, the Stygimoloch was a small bipedal herbivore that lived in North America during the late Cretaceous. It measured around 10 feet long, weighed about 170 pounds, and stood about 3 feet tall at the hips, but the most striking feature of the Stygimoloch was its thick dome-shaped skull that it was equipped with long sharp spikes, making them look low-key like an old man that still has hair on the sides of their bald head. Anyway, it was their skull alone that made them earn a spot on this list, because if I came upon this skull while looking for pretty seashells on the side of a river, I would call it a demon too. But their skulls were not just made to look intimidating, since many paleontologists believe these spikes were used for headbutting in dominance battles or for display, just like sheep's today, but they were just way cooler. Number 8, Therizinosaurus. At first glance, you might have mistaken it for the Hot Cheetos girls that hide in the corner of the classroom, but in reality, the Therizinosaurus was a herbivore that used their overachieving 3-foot-long claws to peacefully forage for plants. Living in what is now Mongolia during the late Cretaceous period, they grew up to 33 feet long, weighed around 5 tons, and stood about 16 feet tall at the shoulders. If there was a horror movie starring only dinosaurs, I think this one has a very strong chance of taking the main role. Anyway, their enormous claws were not just used to enjoy their greens, because obviously they were used as a defense measure against predators. Well, maybe not obviously, because sloths have claws that can castrate a donkey but are just too useless to use them. Anyway, with its pot-bellied body, long neck, and massive arms, the Therizinosaurus was one of the strangest looking herbivores of the dinosaur age, where it low-key looks like my older brother. Number 7, Nothronychus. Speaking of sloths, the Nothronychus, also known as the sloth-like dinosaur, was a relative of Therizinosaurus, but slightly smaller and just as unusual. Living in North America during the late Cretaceous, this dinosaur measured around 20 feet long, weighed approximately 1 ton, and stood 10 feet tall at the shoulders, meaning they could touch the top of the backboard without lifting their feet. Like its larger cousin, Nothronychus had enormous claws, which it likely used to pull down vegetation. Its pot-bellied appearance and sloth-like movements make it one of the oddest members of the Therizinosaur family. It's like the dysfunctional uncle at the family function, but don't worry Nothronychus, I still think you're just as cool as your cousin. Number 6, Gigantoraptor. Judging from its name, you could probably guess that this was just a giant feathered raptor, but what is so strange about it is that it does not look like any of the raptors we are used to, because depending on what picture you look at, it either looks like a giant ostrich that ran face first into a brick wall or a cassowary on some next level steroids. Since unlike the smaller carnivorous raptors it was related to, this massive creature was an enormous bird-like dinosaur that may have been an omnivore. It lived in what is now Mongolia and China during the late Cretaceous period, where it could grow up to about 26 feet long, weighed around 2 tons, and stood at an impressive 16 feet tall at the hips. I don't think you understand how astonishing that is, because while I was looking at human to Gigantoraptor comparisons, I made audible sounds of amazement, since it looked like something straight out of a fantasy book. With its long neck, feathered body, toothless beak, and fast running abilities, Gigantoraptor may have been a swift hunter or a forager, feeding on a mix of plants, eggs, and smaller animals. Or avatars. Number 5, Yishi. Now, can you guess where this dinosaur came from just based on its name? Don't worry, I'll give you 3 seconds. It came from China. Yi Shi, whose name means strange wing, was one of the most unusual flying reptiles ever discovered. Unlike most dinosaurs that evolved feathers for flight, Yi Shi had membranous bat-like wings similar to those of modern-day bats or flying squirrels, where it lived in China during the late Jurassic period and was a tiny creature measuring only 16 inches long with a wingspan of about 2 feet, weighing less than 1 pound. Yi Shi likely used its wings for gliding between trees rather than true powered flight. It kinda looks like a pigeon that forgot its wings at home and had to borrow some from its bat buddy. Number 4. Pegomastax. Yeah, the reason that I said that the Therizinosaurus could be the main villain in a dinosaur horror film and not would be the main villain in a dinosaur horror film is because this abomination to Mother Nature existed. The Pegomastax was a tiny but terrifying dinosaur that lived in South Africa during the early Jurassic, where it measured only 2 feet long, weighed less than 20 pounds, and stood about 10 inches tall at the hips. So, about the same size as a rat from New York. And what makes this creature even more frightening is the fact that they had sharp fangs protruding from their beak-like mouth, giving it a vampire-like appearance, hence their nickname the vampire-toothed herbivore. And yes, I did say herbivore because luckily for my mental health, this dinosaur's teeth were not for hunting, since they may have been used to bite through tough vegetation or even scare away predators. And I have to say, if I was a predator, they would definitely work on me. But unluckily for my mental health, they were agile and fast little devils, giving them the ability to LeBron chase down block me from having a good dream for the next few weeks. Number 3. Jeholopterus. Being yet another small flying dinosaur coming from China during the late Jurassic, the Jeholopterus had a wingspan of about 3 feet and weighed around 10 pounds. And just like today's bats, Jeholopterus may have used its wings for agile flight, swooping through forests in search of food. While some scientists believe it fed on insects, others have suggested a more disturbing possibility, where it was possible that just like your mother, the Jeholopterus was good at sucking, but unlike your mother, they may have been good at sucking blood, much more like a vampire bat. But then again, this all depends on which pictures you look at, because it either looks like the most adorable dinosaur on the planet coming straight from Star Wars, or like a demon creature crawling straight from the depths of hell. Number 2. Sharovipteryx. Now, this dinosaur was a rebel against the system, because whereas most flying or gliding animals rely on their front limbs for lift, the Sharovipteryx was an exception. This tiny reptile, which lived in Central Asia during the late Jurassic, had a unique way of gliding. Measuring about 8 inches long and weighing less than 1 pound, it used wing-like membranes on its hind legs to soar through the air, resembling a paper airplane. With its aerodynamic shape, the Sharovipteryx represents one of nature's most unusual attempts at flight, but the real reason I put it so high is because I really like the idea of other dinosaurs like T-Rexes using them as little darts. Number 1. Longisquama. On this dinosaur, I have to agree with the person that gave them their nickname, since that nickname is the Feathered Mystery, because what the hell even is this? It looks like an iguana really wanted to be like a peacock but put the feathers on the completely wrong area while facing the completely wrong way. The Longisquama was a small, lightweight reptile with one of the strangest body designs in prehistoric history, where they lived in Central Asia during the late Jurassic period. These creatures only measured about 1 foot long and weighed less than 1 pound, but what made Longisquama so bizarre, as you could probably guess, were the long feather-like appendages running down its back. While some scientists believe these structures were used for display or thermoregulation, others think they may have helped Longisquama glide between trees, making me believe that scientists are on drugs half the time, because what about this design says I can glide through trees? With its kite-like appearance, Longisquama is one of the most puzzling early reptiles ever discovered, and will continue to leave me and many paleontologists puzzled for the very near future. While researching these creatures, it really helped me understand how mystical and alien-like the age of the dinosaurs was, and that the Avatar has nothing on the real deal. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, Poppy, and I'll see you in another episode.